Hey guys, I'm Christina Marie, and thank you for watching This Is My Story docu-series. I started this project because I know that each and every one of us has a story to tell. But it's not until we share our story that we realize we can overcome too. So I hope as you watch, you not only watch but you learn and enjoy watching This Is My Story docu-series.
My name is Michelle, and I have a story to tell. My story begins with me waking up sick one day, out of the blue. Ordinary day, but I woke up and my knees were swollen, and I just eventually got to the point where I couldn't walk. That was in the course of 3 days. I couldn't walk. I continued to go to the doctor, and they could not figure out what's wrong. I was getting my knees drained continuously 3 times a week. It got to the point where I could not walk on my own, could not stand on my own. I was referred to a rheumatologist where I was giving some testing, and I was tested positive for a gene called HLBA27, and now I am positive for ankylosing spondylitis, and later down the road I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. It's now being described as undetermined colitis because it presented as ulcerative colitis, but it now is acting as though it's Crohn's. With that, having Crohn's is very different. As soon as I got my ankylosing spondylitis under control, I began a biologic, which I would have to give myself a shot every 2 weeks. My body began to build a resistance to the medicine, which caused my ulcerative colitis to flourish. When that happened, I was switched to another biologic called Remicade, which I would go and have an infusion done for about 3 hours every 6 weeks, and I was doing good on that. But once again, the ulcerative colitis started to peek its head back through, and it was deemed that I now had antibodies to the Remicade. In the midst of this, it was time for me to take another round of Remicade, but my doctor felt that since I was building the antibodies, it was time to step away from the Remicade and to not go ahead with the infusion that I was on. And trying to get a new drug approved with the insurance company, it took quite a bit of time, and in that amount of time my ulcerative colitis flared out of control. It got to the point where I could not go 10 minutes without eating something and having to go to the bathroom. It really pretty much came to like massive diarrhea all the time. It came to the point where I had to wear a diaper to just do anything to live. Then it became to the point, even with the diaper, I couldn't go anywhere, not to the store or anything, for the simple fact that from going to the house to the corner store, I would go to the bathroom on myself multiple times. And as a grown person, that's kind of makes you feel some type of way. And I began to lose weight constantly. Got to the point where I was losing a pound a day. I went to one doctor's visit, and the nurse said, "We have to go back to the scale because my scale is broken." And I was like, "No, your scale is correct. I've gone to the doctor the previous day, and I weighed a pound more." So it's like, "Your scale is correct." She thought her scale was broken because I had lost 30 pounds in the past 2 weeks that she had seen me. It was in and out of the hospital. We started going to the hospital constantly. I would have to get blood infusions, and I would end up staying in the hospital 3 to 4 days, sometimes a week. I had one stay where I went in on a Sunday I came home on that Saturday, and I was back in hospital that Monday. And all this time, they were just trying to figure out what they could do to help me. But at this point in time, it really felt like there was no help. Nothing was helping. There's nothing they were giving me in the hospital that was helping. I was continuously losing weight. I got to the point where I pretty much looked like a skeleton, a walking skeleton. I could count my ribs, all my bones were sticking out, my backbone, everything just sticking out. I was considered malnutrition. My hair began to fall out. That was really hard for me, losing my hair, and people don't really understand that because, I mean, it was just something I always got compliments on, so I was like really upset about losing my hair. Just the in and out of being in and out of the hospital, it takes a toll on you. I got to the point where I knew the staff on 2 floors because I stayed between the 6th floor and the 5th floor. And I knew the nurses, I knew the CNAs, everybody, right down to the people that brought the lunch and the dinner, to the people that cleaned the bathroom. They all became my friends. I stayed there so long. I don't want to cry, but I made it through it, but I had all these different doctors. By the time I left the hospital, I ended up with about 5 doctors. I had the doctor that just came around every day. I had my rheumatologist doctor had to come see me. My gastrologist came and saw me. The surgeon would come. Infectious disease doctor would come. And nobody really had answers. So the surgeon decided to do surgery. And when I went into surgery, after my surgery, they told me that I was so sick. They didn't realize that I was as sick as I was. A part of my colon had died. And I had an abscess on my left side. And I would tell them that my left side would hurt, but because I had ankylosing spondylitis, which caused a lot of pain, it didn't feel like my pain was any more than normal. After my colon was removed, I really did feel better. I began to feel better. And being sick, I had to carry around a book bag from being malnutrition that had just basically nutrients in it that I needed. And I would have to carry that around on my back if I went out anywhere, just trying to get me to gain more weight because I had lost my appetite and I wasn't eating. I wasn't on any medicine for anything to stop my ankylosing spondylitis from progressing or the ulcerative colitis from progressing. When I was in hospital, they were just really trying to get it under control, but there was really not a plan of action to get it under control. All my doctors had to be in agreement on what the procedure would be. I had one doctor that was kind of holding out and didn't want to remove my colon, which is what it came down to. And when they did remove it, as I said, it was a very, very sick colon. They realized that I was sicker than they previously thought. Now I have a bag that I wear. A poop bag is what I call it for my nieces and nephews. because they didn't understand. But I call it a poop bag. And now I'm just living life with my poop bag, getting used to it. Now I take a shot to control my ankylosing spondylitis, and it also controls my ulcerative colitis, which they have deemed undetermined colitis because when they took my colon out, it was sent to pathology and they could not determine if it was Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. But all my surgeons and all my doctors have come to the conclusion, they are in agreement that it is Crohn's disease, and I'm being treated as such now. With my bag, it is, some people can be reconnected and they call it a J pouch, where they reconnect the small intestine to the rectum, and they can live a full life and go on. But due to the fact that I was so sick and that they are presuming that it is Crohn's, they're being very careful about reconnecting my body back together because they don't want me to get sick again. If I get sick once again in this same tract after I've been reconnected, that could cause serious damage. Not only did I lose my colon, but I lost a piece of my small bowel. So I don't have enough to go through the whole procedure for a second time. So at this point, we are just living life with a bag, learning to just rolling with the things that come along with it. I have issues where, I used to like to wear stuff that was form-fitting, and with my bag, I have to keep in mind, because sometimes it blows up at night, and during the day it gets a little airy. So my life has dramatically changed. It is totally different. As in, I don't do as much as I used to do. With having the ankylosing spondylitis, that alone gives me brittle bones. It's a brittle bones disease. And to control that and to control the Crohn's, what I'm on is an immune suppressant. With it being an immune suppressant, it's like to say, if you get your cold, you may be out for like a couple of days with the cold. If I catch a cold, I'm going to be out for a couple of weeks. So it's just things that I have to do different than normal people would do. I'm not ashamed to go out in public with latex gloves on, a mask on, because I have to protect myself. My immune is suppressed, is compromised, and I've spent a lot of time in the hospital. I don't want to go back there. That became like my second home. And just right now, I'm rebuilding my life back, rebuilding myself, getting comfortable with myself. I went from weighing about 150 pounds to under 100 pounds in less than a month and a half. So for me, getting sick again is not an option. Getting sick from other people that are sick and having like the minor cold, I try to stay away from that. I have to stay away from it. There are just things that I have to do different. As far as like with my brittle bone disease, I did have a cold one time, and in coughing, I fractured 2 ribs. So life is not as easy as it would be for the next person, but I strive to make it as easy as I can. I continue to just try and get better, take care of myself, and just do what I have to do to be healthy. I almost lost my life this summer because I I wasn't on any medication to suppress my immune system, to suppress my ulcerative colitis. So that flare ultimately almost killed me. And I feel like my doctor had taken me off the medicine, and I should have pushed more for a quicker response to be put on something else. The lack of timing, the timing, I would say, in between switching medications, going from one medication to another, kind of stifled my health. And I think that you always have a what if. Like, what if I could go back? If I could go back in time, I would still have stayed on my medicine until it was time, till the new medicine had come in. We always have to go 6 weeks in between medicine to let the previous medicine come all the way out of your system. I feel like I should have pressed my doctor more. I think that we all know our own bodies. If you feel something is not right, you need to go ahead and make that step and get out there and tell the doctors, this is what is going on. And you have to tell them every little detail. Like, sometimes we get out there and we be like, well, I'm a little embarrassed about this, or I'm a little embarrassed about that. But they see this every day, and we know our bodies. And if we don't push for ourselves, we can get into the predicament where our situation is way worse than what it could be. Or I feel like I have to push for myself, and I feel like everybody should push for themselves. And I always live by the model that even though I'm sick and I have a lot going on, I always keep a smile on my face, and I'm always laughing and joking, because I feel like there's always somebody in a worse situation than you are, especially when it comes to sick. Like, I feel like I'm sick. I know I'm sick. But when you look at me, you can't see I'm sick. I have an invisible disease. And people don't see that. People don't look at you and say, hey, I know you're sick, so, let me be kind to you, or let me be nice to you because you're sick. No, I don't look sick. I can get up and go for months without having any issues with my sickness or anything like that. And then one morning I can wake up and I need help to get dressed, or I need help to get in the shower. I feel like like I said, we know our own bodies, and one inkling of feeling that something is off, you should be like on top of it. We're on top of other things. We go to work every day and we do what we do for other people. We're on top of that type of thing. But as far as our health, yes, we need to be on top of that. Without being on top of that, we create things such as medical bills that we don't really need. If we had started, when it first started, we gotten on top of it. And I feel like, yes, sometimes the doctor knows what's best, but sometimes we also know what's best for ourselves, and we need to research on our own a little bit. Not necessarily, you can't believe everything you read on the internet, but sometimes you get a little bit of closure from, if you reach out to people that are in the same situation and they've been through the same thing. It helps a lot. And just keeping a positive attitude, because I joke all the time. People's like, how's your day going? Or, and I always say, I'm here. I almost wasn't here, but I'm here, and I'm glad to be here. Or people say, what did you do last summer? Oh, I almost died, but I'm here. So, you have to do what keeps you upbeat about your situation. Don't let it get you down. You know, some things happen in life. Things happen to everybody in life. This is just something that happens. You have a medical issue, you have to push through. You can't let that slow you down. You can't let that stop you. You can't let that change who you are as a person. I mean, it's some days where, yeah, I'm not a very nice person because I'm in pain, or, you know, there's been times where I've been like, why me? Why did this happen to me? Why? But my doctor told me it was a possibility that I may have to wear my bag for the rest of my life. And I had been upbeat the whole time in the hospital, in and out of the hospital. All the nurses and doctors and everything knew me. They, you know, knew my personality. And this was the first time after I'd been in the hospital for about 4 weeks, and I had my operation, had my colon removed, and the doctor told me that I may have to keep my bag because due to me being so sick. And I lost it. Like, that was the first time I literally lost it. Like, fell on the floor crying. Somebody picked me up crying. And I mean, it's nobody's fault that I got as sick as I did. I will say that it's nobody's fault. I feel like I could have listened a little bit more to my body and gotten ahead of it. But, you know, we live and we learn. And we have to keep living. We can't give up on life because it's always tomorrow. Tomorrow can always be a better day. It might be the same, it might be worse, but you're going to always have a better day. And just, those medical bills can get you down sometimes. I'm not going to front about that. They get very expensive. But we have to check on ourselves and know what is going on with ourselves. Just being healthy. You know, maybe sometimes we need to change our lifestyle, the way we eat, and things like that to just better ourselves. My name is Michelle, and that is my story.